Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're cutting right through the crypto hype and looking directly at the actual computer science that governs decentralized networks. It's a genuinely fascinating structural journey under the hood of Web3, and I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through it. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the dilemma of trust, then break down the proof-of-work architecture. From there, we'll simulate the mining process, explore proof-of-stake mechanics, and finally, evaluate the consensus trade-offs. Starting with Section 1, the dilemma of trust, agreeing without a leader. At the very heart of blockchain technology, there is a massive, fundamental problem. How do independent nodes agree on a single version of the truth, the state of the ledger, without some central authority telling them what's true? This whole concept is rooted in Leslie Lamport's brilliant 1982 paper defining the Byzantine generals problem. Imagine independent generals of an army camped out around an enemy city. They have to coordinate a battle plan by messenger. But here's the catch. One or more of them might actually be traitors actively trying to confuse the others with conflicting info. Figuring out an algorithm to ensure the loyal generals can still reach an agreement, that is the exact same problem a decentralized computer network faces every single day. And that brings us right to a crucial concept, Byzantine fault tolerance, or BFT. This is basically a distributed network's ability to reach consensus and just keep operating correctly, even if some nodes are acting maliciously or just straight up failing. If you want to prevent double spending or forged ledgers, which, let's be real, is the only way a cryptocurrency can actually hold any value, modern blockchains absolutely need to achieve this tolerance natively. Moving on to Section 2, Proof-of-Work Architecture, the computational solution. Think about Bitcoin's original mechanism for solving this. It relies purely on raw computational power. In this system, miners collect initiated transactions to prepare a candidate block, but they can't just slap it onto the chain whenever they feel like it. They have to loop through a rigorous computational process to find a valid hash. They're essentially burning energy to build these candidate blocks, which is super clever because it ties the security of the network directly to real-world resource expenditure. So what this means is that proof of work operates as a one CPU, one vote system. Nodes, or miners, use specialized hardware like ASICs or GPUs to compete in solving cryptographic hashing puzzles. For Bitcoin, that's SHA-256. They're hunting for a very specific target variable called a nonce. Because it's designed this way, rewriting the history of the blockchain would require an attacker to control 51% of the total network's hashing power. It makes the network virtually immune to censorship and tampering. But there is a huge drawback. It requires 100 to 150 terawatt hours of annual energy use. Just to put that into perspective, that rivals the energy consumption of a mid-sized country like Norway. Let's look at Section 3, simulating the mining process, under the hood. Let's actually see how this builds out in code. You start by initializing the block structure and bringing in a hash library. Then the real heavy lifting kicks off in the execution loop. The computer is just continuously hashing the block data along with that nonce variable we talked about. The whole goal, finding that exact nonce. The network sets a target difficulty, say requiring the hash to start with 4 zeros. So the miner script just loops, adding 1 to the nonce over and over and over until the output artificially matches those required zeros. It's basically a massive brute force guessing game, and that sheer computational difficulty is exactly what secures the ledger. Which brings us to Section 4, Proof-of-Stake Mechanics, the economic evolution. Because of those massive energy costs we just went over, the industry saw a major architectural shift from computational competition to capital commitment. We saw this most famously with Ethereum's big transition in 2022. It forces us to ask a really important question. How exactly do we punish bad actors without wasting all that electricity? Well, the answer is economic deterrence. Notice what's missing here. There's absolutely no hardware mining loop. Instead, nodes, which we now call validators, lock up a specific amount of native cryptocurrency into a smart contract as collateral. In Ethereum, you need 32 ETH. The network then deterministically selects a validator to propose the next block based on factors like the size of their stake. It completely eliminates the computational arms race. But wait, without the cost of electricity, what stops a validator from just voting on every single possible version of the blockchain to guarantee they get a reward? This is what's known as the costless simulation problem. The solution? Slashing.
Slashing is an economic punishment mechanism where a portion, or sometimes even all, of a malicious validator's staked capital is permanently confiscated and destroyed. It creates immediate economic finality. You misbehave, you literally lose your actual money.
Ethereum researcher Vlad Zamfor hit the nail on the head when he said, "Getting slashed is as though your ASIC farm burned down if you participated in a 51% attack." Think about how powerful that imagery is. It really cements the vivid reality that the physical hardware destruction we see in proof of work has simply been replaced by digital capital destruction in proof of stake.
All right, Section 5, Evaluating Consensus Trade-offs, a data-driven comparison.
Now that we have a solid grip on the mechanics, let's put these two paradigms head-to-head. It all boils down to the security anchor. Proof of work anchors its security on computational power. Proof of stake anchors its security on economic capital. By anchoring on capital, proof of stake totally avoids those pesky hardware scaling limitations, but it introduces a brand new vulnerability, the risk of capital concentration. This is the idea that those with the most tokens accrue the most rewards, which could mean the rich just keep getting richer. If we look at the hard metrics, proof of work offers very high security. I mean, it's incredibly robust and totally time-tested, but its scalability, that sits at moderate to limited. On the flip side, proof of stake provides high scalability, but it carries a medium to high centralization risk because of that wealth concentration issue we just touched on. And honestly, this trade-off becomes glaringly obvious when you look at transaction throughput. Bitcoin, running proof of work, processes roughly 7 transactions per second. Meanwhile, networks like Ethereum and Polkadot running proof of stake can handle anywhere from 250 to well over 1,000 transactions per second. This insane jump in speed makes proof of stake far more viable for high-volume applications like decentralized finance. And then there's the environmental side of things, which is just wild. When validation shifts from computational puzzles to digital signatures, the energy savings are staggering. Ethereum's transition resulted in a 99.95% reduction in energy consumption. It uses a tiny fraction of a percent compared to its mining days. That is a monumental shift in eco-efficiency.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to take away from this explainer today. As we continue to scale Web3, what is the true price of decentralized trust? Must we inevitably choose between the raw, decentralized, and proven security of physical electricity or the hyper-efficient yet potentially centralized power of digital capital? It's a fascinating trade-off, and it's exactly what the tech world is actively navigating right now. Keep exploring, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next one.